You exclusive audio behind some of the key refereeing decisions in the Premier League. As always, I'm joined by Howard Webb, the Chief Refereeing Officer at PGMOl. But before we get started, here's a quick reminder of who you'll be hearing from in today's clips. On the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see subtitles from the officials in the VAR booth. That's the video assistant referee, the assistant VAR, the replay operator, and the semi-automated offside operator. And on the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see the on-field officials. It's important to note that the referee does not hear everything that is said. But when the VAR is speaking directly to the referee, the VAR subtitle graphic will turn green. OK, let's start off with the Manchester derby at Old Trafford and a challenge by Diogo Dalot on Jeremy Doku.
Just watching that challenge.
There's a chance he's touched that ball as well as his leg. I'm not 100% though.
Yeah, let's just watch it. Yeah, it does. There's glancing contact on the knee. There's no force, but there is glancing contact. He's tried to play the ball and he catches him with glancing contact. Can you see it? Can you see? Glancing contact. There's no force. He's tried to play the ball. He flicks, he misses the ball and catches him with a follow through. Yeah, I'm happy to confirm the on-field decision. Yeah.
How fast does it come in?
He doesn't. He kind of slows into it. Just play it in normal speed. Just play it into normal speed.
Yeah, he checks his step, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Tails confirming the yellow card for Manchester United 2. He tries to play the ball, he misses it, and then he makes glancing contact onto the knee. There's no force or intensity, but he does catch him with a follow through.
Yes, I know. That's why it's only a yellow, because it's glance contact.
Well, this one's split opinion. I was in the studio, this very studio, covering the game, and I was outvoted 2-1. Peter Schmeichel and Joleon Lescott both thought it was a red. I thought it was a yellow. Give us your verdict.
Yeah, hi Michael. It did split opinion, but I've also heard a lot of opinion, as you've alluded to say that this should have been a red card offence. The officials on the field saw the actions of Dalot. They saw him stretch forward with his foot. He touches the ball, and then there's contact on Jeremy Doku. They deemed that to be a reckless action and therefore worthy of a yellow card. You'll see on the field there's not a lot of sense around a red card. There's not a lot of reaction to it when it happens in full speed. The VAR's job then is to look at that and decide, is the on-field decision of yellow card clearly and obviously wrong? Now, we'll talk on this show about a lot of situations that sit in the grey zone where there's a mix of considerations. I think this is one of those. I know other people think it's clearly red. I don't agree. I think there's a mix of considerations. I think, firstly, you have to think about what those considerations are. What is the point of contact is an important one, and I know that when we look at this, we see that the point of contact is on the knee. But we also have to factor in speed, force and intensity. You'll not see many red cards in the Premier League for serious foul play that don't involve those things. Now, we evaluate those things through a full-speed view of the incident, and without looking at it at full speed, you get kind of a distorted view. You don't get a true picture of how much force and speed there was in the challenge. Then we have to slow it down, of course, to see the point of contact. So different ways of looking at the video for different considerations, but we have to consider the full mix of them when deciding to come to a final outcome.
Well, let's have a look at it then. This is the real-time view of it, Howard. And just explain that. In a minute, we'll go on to the rule and what's the difference between serious foul play and reckless. But just explain what you're seeing here.
Well, full speed, he comes in. There's not a lot of speed. He stays on his feet. He stretches his foot out. He touches the ball. Undoubtedly, then there's contact that comes through. That foot touches the knee, comes off pretty quickly, and we can see on slow-mo that it does touch that knee. But at full speed, when you play it in real time, you can see there's not a great deal of speed in action, not a lot of intensity. We were heavily criticised a few years ago for using slow motion and freeze frames, because people said, this is not reality, it's not how the game's played. When you slow it down, it can look a lot worse, and it does. When you freeze frame it, you can make a lot of situations look like red card offences. So it's difficult for me to hear people make a judgment on this just by analysing freeze frame and slow motion, coming to the consideration that it's red on that basis. Yes, it could be red, but you have to think about the need to look at it at full speed We've done that for some time now. We thought it was a fair criticism some time ago when people said, stop using slow-mos as the main way of analysing these situations. And we've listened and we agree, and we play it in full speed. Then we slow it down a little bit to see the exact point of contact, to factor that in as well. But without speed and force and intensity, it's unlikely to be a red card. I think it's one where the referee's call should stand on the field. That's what we've said we'll do, where there's a mix of considerations. I think there is a mix, and therefore I think in this situation it was right to leave it as the referee's call. If red had been given, I would have expected the red card to stand as well, in the same way.
I totally agree with that. But what's the difference then? Reckless, serious foul play. Yellow card here, red card here. Some people will argue, I mean, it's in a dangerous position, on his knee, etc. But explain the difference there.
Yeah, reckless is when you go in there and there's an element of danger that you've gone into the challenge with, a danger to the opponent, and you've gone in with disregard to it, thinking it could end up with an outcome that's dangerous to the opponent. But for that to be realised, there needs to be excessive force, and that's, I guess, the element that I think we need to view that at full speed. Is there excessive force? Some will say yes. I'm not quite there, but I can see that there could be... It's a subjective judgment. You see it at full speed. Is there excessive force? I'm not sure, maybe, but I'm absolutely aligned that once that decision's taken on the field, we leave it as referee's call and we don't intervene with it.
Yes, what a stunning start to life back at Old Trafford that was for Michael Carrick in the Manchester derby. Well, we all know him well. You've played club and international football with him. We kind of knew it was the only job he'd go back into the game for at the moment. I mean, could you believe the reaction that he got on Saturday?
Well, obviously, ex-player, legend at the club, what he achieved. Really calm in his approach, but he's a calm person anyway. And what I really liked about what I saw is, when he came onto the pitch and he sort of like tried to rally the fans up before the game. Obviously a massive game, but the performance is probably one of the best performances I've seen for years. Man United team. Yeah, I mean, we obviously covered the game. We'll come to the fact that he's been our guest on this very show very shortly. We always knew Michael going in, Michael would go back to a back four. We kind of guessed the way he would shape the team, but not necessarily the personnel. But the one thing out of many that really stood out for you was the obvious role of Bruno Fernandes. It was, yeah. I think when you look at the team, Steve, it's not massively different in terms of what's been playing in the past. Dorgu's been playing in an attacking area, and Burmo, since he's been at the club, been an attacking player. Ahmad has played often. Casemiro, back four. Martinez has been injured, but he would come back in. That is not such a difference to what... The big difference is bringing this guy back in, which, yes, that's a good decision in isolation, but the main thing is it frees this guy up to be in his best position. That there is a waste, and that's what Amarin had it. He had him as a number 6. He wasn't a natural number 6. Yes, he was good on the ball. He wasn't great at tracking runs. He wasn't good at sniffing out danger, and he wasn't affecting the play in dangerous areas. And that's exactly what he did at the weekend. Yeah, and it's exactly what we asked Michael when he was on this very show as our guest surrounding Manchester United's midfield just a couple of months ago. We wanted to ask you specifically about the midfield in this system, and this season, Bruno Fernandes playing as one of those two midfielders. Does it work long term for you?
We'll have to see. We'll have to see over time. I don't think it's natural for Bruno to play that bit deeper. I think in possession, he can get on the ball, he can make things happen. I think he likes to do that. Out of possession is obviously the question. He's just not naturally played in that position probably enough over his career to understand it, and it's a different style of thought. It's a different mentality, really, especially without the ball. Games like these, Liverpool United at Anfield, midfield battle is crucial to having control in the game, to dominating the game, and to having an influence on the game of where the momentum's going to swing. United tend to have the two in there. So for me, this battle as you go on to now in this area of the pitch is a really interesting one. Maybe as a midfielder and just as recent history is kind of shown, this is a big part of the game for me, and how you manage that space is vital. The system for me is not such much of the big deal. It's more of how you influence the middle of the pitch. I'm maybe a bit biased being a midfielder, but I do feel that's really important. Well, that was really insightful to you and to us, and I'm sure it helped the Manchester United players
at the weekend. So how and why was Bruno more influential in this position on Saturday?
Well, quite clearly, because he was receiving the ball in areas that he likes to receive the ball in. He has got incredible vision. He's got an incredible delivery. His head is on a swivel. He's used to playing in that position, as Michael Carrick said not so long ago on this very show. He's not used to be playing in a number six position. Yes, when they get the ball, he's fine because that never leaves you, that creativity. But his balls then, his passes have to be further to have any effect. And he's a deeper liar. And he doesn't sniff out dangers like a normal number 6. Let's have a look at a few of his clips here. I mean, this is him. They're just breaking back into position here, but you can quite clearly see the 3 Manchester United attacking players and Bruno being in that number 10 position. And he comes short, but he also goes long as well. And that was a real key about this weekend's game, is that Manchester United, they ran forward with lots and lots of players. Everybody was breaking. Again, you see him in the central position here. But look at him. He's getting round it. He's overlapping Ahmad in this situation. And look at the players breaking forward. First time ball, what a ball it was. Yeah. That's what he gives you in tough areas. Again, you see him here. His head's on a swivel. He was looking before the ball. Let's just take it back to prove it. Look at his head as the ball's coming. There's one look. There's another little glance. He knows he's building pictures in his mind. Left foot this time, knocks it over the top, and it's these runners, Jermaine, that have a huge effect. Look at him as well, busting a gut. He's not happy with the first pass. He's going round again. I mean, it's incredible stuff.
Yeah, I think for someone with this sort of quality, he has to be closer to the goal. When you think about the game, like the 3 phases, obviously you've got to build. And a lot of times you get the players that are 2 pivots that are sort of like away from the pressure and they can build and they're security for the back 4. And then you've got to create, and obviously you've got the attackers that go and finish. But for me, he has to be in the create and finish. You know, he's too good to be that far away from the goal, if that makes sense.
Of course, that goal was disallowed then. We need to make that point. But it just shows you, and again here, this was him picking the ball up, knowing where his players are. Again, wanting the ball, head on a swivel, playing the ball. Not only that, he's not just content with playing the ball. He's then ready again. What's next? Lays it on a play. Another big chance for Manchester United. He was involved in everything. This is the goal as well, Steve. And would you know it? He's right at the heart of it again. And this looks simple to a lot of people. Yeah. And I'll sort of let it run there, but then we'll just take it back. Just as he plays it through to Mbeumo, let's have a look at the finish, and he knocks it into the corner. But this makes it look so simple, but tiny little bits of this are just so important. First of all, to give yourself options. If he runs in a straight line here, if he just keeps running towards goal in a straight line, that kills it. These 2 players can basically just mimic their runs, and all of a sudden, he might even get back. There's no options. But all of a sudden, when this crisscross happens here, when Mbeumo runs this way and he runs that way, all of a sudden that crisscross brings one player into the game and brings Mbeumo into the game later on, running on this direction. Yep. And not only that, but once he's about to play, it's decision time. Now, he's obviously got decisions. He can play that one. I think that probably requires a touch and maybe needs to beat his man.
Yeah, then he's got a lot to do, yeah.
There's a safe pass. Sorry, there's a safe pass out here to Dorgu. But he waits and he waits. There's also the chance of him running, if the defenders don't, and then taking a shot from here. Yeah. But he's just... All of these things are computing. The timing, the angle, the pace of the pass, all of these things. And it just comes naturally to him. It just comes naturally. If you put most players in that position in this team, they wouldn't have picked that pass. They wouldn't have delivered that pass.
It's a training ground. You do like 3v2s in training and you'd be surprised, even at the top level, how many times that breaks down, or how many times the player that's on the ball will pick the wrong pass, or the movement around it. But the reason why I think that's such a good goal, and the thought process, so you got Ahmed and you got so naturally when you play that ball through, you have to let it run across your body to finish. If he would have played it to the right hand side, Ahmed's finishing with his right foot, he's left-footed, so he probably would have took a touch coming on his strong foot. And Mbeumo's come around him on his left foot, so then it's an easy finish. But and then, as Michael said there, provoking, and then waiting at the right moment to then have the right way to pass for your forward to go and finish. It's just unbelievable goal.
He said afterwards, just quickly, we want to use that atmosphere and that belief as fuel moving forward. When you look at the next game, it's Arsenal away, which we'll be covering on Sunday. But if they apply that you've just shown us, can they go to the Emirates full of belief?
They can. And do you know what? I think this game works perfectly for them. At the weekend, they were playing reasonably deep. Let's get it right. Manchester United, they're going to struggle a little bit more when they're playing against lesser teams, playing a low block, and all of a sudden they've got to come and provoke the game themselves. They've got to play a bit more of a high line. All of a sudden, Harry Maguire's vulnerable. There's not much pace at the back. At the weekend, it was perfect. They sit deep, they give Haaland not as much space, and they had pace, and they had Fernandes in the hole where they could just keep finding him, keep feeding him, and he would turn and he would deliver passes back. And they had so much speed on the counter-attack. It was unbelievable to watch. It was a proper Manchester United performance of the past. Now, they're going to go to Arsenal, and it's going to be pretty similar. They're going to be out of possession for a lot of the time. They're going to be sitting deep, suits their back four massively, and they're going to have pace on the attack. So actually, this game, I actually fancy Manchester United at the moment against the better teams. I think they really suit sucking up pressure and hitting with pace on the attack. Now, over time, they're going to have to develop and beat the lesser teams, let's say, in the league. But I don't think they're going to be scared of going to Arsenal and sitting back and playing to their strengths like they did at the weekend.
So Jamie Carragher said last night that he could not see Manchester United winning a league title with Michael Carrick in charge. But our guest, Jamie O'Hara, disagreed in the last hour. He thinks it is possible, and that's resulted in lots of reaction from you this morning, including this from Adam.
Jamie O'Hara, you've got no chance of Manchester United winning the league. No chance whatsoever under Carrick at all, or any other manager.
Yeah, I think Adam might think that we meant this season, but OK, fair enough. What about from Wayne?
I'm a Man United fan, and I agree with Jamie. I think if Carrick did really well to the end of the season, got us in the Champions League, then why not give him the job? I don't think at the moment any manager could win Man United the Premier League in the next 3 or 4 seasons. It's going to take time. Yeah. But I agree, if Carrick does well, give him the job, why not?
So not in the next 3 or 4 seasons. You did say 5, in fairness, and Alec thinks Carrick could be the man.
I agree with Jamie. I think Michael Carrick could win the Premiership with United. He's got the ability, he's got the love of the players, and you can see from the game against Man City that he got his tactics right. They were spot on. So give him a chance.
You thought you were going to get ridiculed. Well, so far, only 3 have been against you and 2 have been agreeing with you.
Yeah, look, I'm not saying he's definitely the answer, but I'm saying why not? You know, the prime example for me is Arteta. It was his first job, his managerial job. And now look at him. He's classed as one of the best managers in the world, Arteta. It took him 5 years, but they trusted him. They built the process, and they believed in him as a manager through some tough moments when he wasn't doing great, but they stuck by him. And they built a team. Now, Michael Carrick is of a similar ilk. He's a good manager. He's been a top quality player. He's played for Manchester United, played for England. He's got respect in the game. Really good coach. This is a big step up for him. Who's to say if he doesn't do a really good job, why can he not have the infrastructure at Manchester United to go on and be successful? Of course, as I said, Luis Enrique. Everyone wants Luis Enrique. Of course, the Nagelsmann. Yeah, of course, these are top managers. But if you're going to look at a situation where we're seeing at the moment with, owners who have sporting directors or director of football, whatever you want to call them, and have head coaches and they build a coach a team, Michael Carrick could be a manager where you look at that and say he could be successful. I'm not saying that he's going to go and win the Premier League. I'm saying why not? Why not? He's a good manager. He's got a really good backroom staff behind him. Jonathan Woodgate. I know Jonathan, they're top people. They know what they're doing, and the players will respect.
To throw Michael Carrick back on there before we make it a final 5 for him to.
I'm just saying that at one point, if a guy is in position and does very well,
if they get Champions League
why can he not get a chance to maybe be re-interviewed, or however it is, and to keep his job? Why not? But again, this is us speculating. And I know it's fun, it's a game, but I can't bypass the fact that, especially, I'll be honest with you, especially because I played for Barcelona at the end of my career. And that impacted me. I said it so many times. I'm an Arsenal fan that I will never change. But the way they see it on the other side, if you don't fit how the house is, it doesn't matter who you are or what, and also it doesn't matter also what you have done before. You fit what they believe in, you can come. If you know what I mean. But what are you in order to make that decision?
So all those clubs have given you permission, and countries have given you permission to speak to
that's also,
their coaches.
They're not available.
There is a slight caveat to this list, is that all these people are actually in work.
I think
with respect to their countries and clubs.
If you're Manchester United, I think everybody will want Luis Enrique. They'll have watched how PSG played last year. We're talking about a guy who's won the Champions League twice. I don't think they'll get Luis Enrique. I think there's a good chance they could end up with Thomas Tuchel.
You know what's also important in all of that? You have managers in history that could do both. Because we talked about managing and coaching. Okay, some people are so blind into how they want to play. They don't want to change, don't want to adapt to the guys. At one point, you have to let the players play. We've seen Ancelotti at Everton, you know, in terms of how they were playing. He goes at Real Madrid, he manages players, he has better players. He went on to win the Champions League and so many time and time again. And what a manager he is. Then you have a guy like Luis Enrique and Pep Guardiola. Because they have the Barca DNA, they can bring that to you. They can coach and they can manage. Pep is ruthless with his management. That's a fact. I don't have an issue with that. As I said, tactically, he's the best I've ever had. But he's ruthless with the management. But he will do that. And tactically, he goes to details that you will not understand if you're not equipped with your brain to understand what he wants. But he has both. Luis Enrique has both. You have managers and a coach at the same time when you get those guys.
Right, so before we get to that four-man shortlist, should Carrick have been on it?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I disagree with Jamie there, because I think when you look at the managers that are now coming in to the Premier League, the young managers, you know, would you believe that Arsenal could win the title with Arteta when he first come in? And no, of course not. So Chelsea, they brought in Rafinha. Do you think he could, you know, win the Premier League with them right now? Not yet, but who knows? Look at Arteta. Michael Carrick, for me, is a really good manager. I've seen him at work. He's a brilliant coach. He knows Manchester United. He was a top player. He's got respect. You know, he's talking about Luis Enrique. Of course, everyone wants Luis Enrique. Nagelsmann. Of course you want Nagelsmann. But I think Manchester United right now, they need stability, and they need a manager who knows the football club, knows the Manchester United way, knows how he wants to set the team up. And I think that guy right now is perfect for Michael Carrick. Now, listen, if he goes on and he loses games against Burnley and, you know, he loses games, you know, and he go, OK, maybe he's not the guy. But I tell you what, I watched him against Man City, and that was a Manchester United team that I could watch. That was a proper Man United performance. OK, it's against Man City, it's a cup final. He's got to do it week in, week out. If he goes and wins 8, 9, 10 games, gets top 4, why shouldn't Michael Carrick be considered for the Man United job? Why? Why not?
Well, actually, we're doing a poll this morning, and we've added Michael Carrick to it. So you've got Jamie Carragher's 4 plus Michael Carrick, and we've got other there as well. And as you can see, Carrick's actually second and only just behind Luis Enrique. There's no clear... It's not like someone's got 70 or 80% there. No. Luis Enrique with 27, and then it's Michael Carrick with 25.
Yeah, but look, of course Luis Enrique, he's a world-class manager, and but Luis Enrique's got unbelievable players at PSG, and he's built a really good side. Of course you want Luis Enrique. But Michael Carrick, he knows what he's doing, Michael Carrick. You know, he knows Man United. He's got really good backroom staff. He's got Jonathan Woodgate in there. Woody knows his stuff. He's got respect, you know, in the game. He's a brilliant coach. He's been at Real Madrid. He's been in the Premier League for a long time. The players are going to respect what you could see instantly after that game against Man City. Michael Carrick had his arm around Kobe Manu. He's laughing with Bruno Fernandes. They're on they're disillusioned with Ruben Amorim and his tactics, and it weren't for Man United. Michael Carrick knows what Man United's about. He knows how they want to play, and he's got some really good players. If he can keep Mbuemo fit, Cunha, Fernandes, You know, Kobe Manu comes back into the team. I thought he was superb. Michael Carrick can win the Premier League for Man United. Michael Carrick, if you give him the right foundations, you give him a decent infrastructure, good recruitment, Michael Carrick can win the Premier League with Man United.
No English manager has ever won the Premier League. Did you know that?
Maybe I'll take that back then.
Yeah, well, no, okay. You've got Carrick if he gets the job. You've got Rossini and Eddie Howe's up there with Newcastle as well.
But Tom, we're seeing a lot of English managers all of a sudden. I love it. It's good to see. And we're quick to dig out people getting opportunities. How's Rossini getting a job at Chelsea? But I tell you what, it's great to see young managers, English managers, British managers getting the opportunity to manage big clubs in the Premier League. We ain't seen that before. We ain't seen that for a long time. Maybe this is time for change, and people can agree with it or not. But we've got some young managers, really good young managers, who are coming into the Premier League now, give them the opportunity to maybe go and win a title.
Well, would you say there that Carrick can win the title at Manchester United? What sort of time?
Listen, Arteta's had
to be clear.
Arteta's had 5 years, Tom. No one... Arsenal fans wanted Arteta out after a couple of seasons, but they stuck with him. They stuck with a plan, and they've reaped the rewards now. They built a team, they trusted his process, they believed him in as a manager. That was his first job. You know, and now Arteta is classed as one of the best managers in the world. I'm not saying Michael Carrick is going to be an Arteta, but what I'm saying is he's got the fundamentals. He knows what Man United's about. He was a top player. His style of football. I think if you give him the right infrastructure, I'm not saying it's going to happen in 2 years. It might happen in 5. I think Man United would take that. If you said that you're going to be challenging for the title in 5 years, like Arsenal, over the next 3 seasons, finish third, second, all of a sudden you're there, I think Man United fans would say, I'm not saying Michael Carrick is the definite answer, but I'm saying why not?
Yeah. Well, you did actually say if he does well between now and the end of the season. You didn't say give it to him now. In fairness, away from that head coach situation, you'll have seen this with like Nicky Butt. He's told Lisandro Martinez to grow up and deal with criticism. Because Martinez challenged Paul Scholes to speak to him face to face after Scholes and Butt mocked the defender's size ahead of the Manchester derby. Now, he actually played very well in that Manchester derby, didn't he?
He's actually a really good player.
Which does help Martinez's case.
Of course.
What do you think here? I mean, you, Butt, Scholes, you're paid to give your opinions.
Yeah.
Do you expect the players to react like that?
Yeah, Nicky Butt and Paul Scholes are on a completely different level to me. They are Man United legendary status. They can say what they want and they have every right to share their opinion. And a player has every right to answer back. You know, everyone's a right to you know, hold their ground and stake their claim and say, hold on a minute, I disagree with that. Martinez coming out saying, you know, come round my house. And Nicky Butt was quite funny. He said he's 50 years old and we're going to go round your house for it, you know, like... You know, I think you've got to be, when you're playing for Manchester United, as Jamie Carragher said, they are the most talked about club in the world. Everyone talks about Man United. They are the big story. And when you've got legends like Nicky Butt, Paul Scholes, who are entitled to their opinion, you know, you have to swallow it.
Is it quite good to see Martinez reacting?
Yeah, I don't mind it.
We sometimes do criticise players and managers for purposely not giving a proper answer when they're asked by reporters anything. He has actually given... He said, well, why doesn't he say it to my face?
I've got no issue with Martinez coming out and answering back. You know, and you've got... But listen, you've got to take criticism when you're at the big clubs. As a manager, as a player, you are under scrutiny every single week. And it's all right for Martinez, you know, saying, you know, what he said. But, you know, he's just come back into the team and he had a really good game. And I like Martinez. I think he's a good player. But I've seen Martinez have some stinkers as well. So... You know, at the end of the day, you've got to take criticism. Play well to the end of the season, you know, build that football club and get them in the top 4. Then you can say to Nicky Butt, come on and let's go and have a coffee, you know. But right now, Nicky Butt and Paul Scholes, who are legends of the game, every right to criticise Man United.
OK, right, coming up,